So, February's been amazing to me. I've enjoyed February, severely enjoyed it. So I'm going to try and make this video long but not too long, because I want to remember this day moment by moment. So in the morning I actually had my carers for the first time in a whole month. We just caught up and had a coffee and watched a movie called Jaxie. It was a great movie. That was basically up until whenever she left. I forgot. I'm on a great start, aren't I? But that doesn't matter, because, you know, she spends 2.5, 3 hours with me. And then... don't know what happened after that. But I know at some time, maybe 2 o'clock? Don't know. Maybe 2 o'clock. Anyway, my R1 friend came over. I won't say his name, you know, 'cause I'll just keep it quiet, you know. Anyway, so he's a really close friend of mine, and you know, and he came over early to service his motorbike. So he came to my house, my family's house, and drained the bad oil out, put good oil in, which, by the way, it takes like 4 liters of oil. And then, I never asked him if his neutral felt better. Did your neutral feel better at the end of the night? Please respond. Anyway, and then we also fixed his air filter. I think that's what it is. Oil filter. That sounds better. And we had a big issue with that. It took us like an hour because it wouldn't come off, no matter what we done, no matter if we used the correct tool or the wrong tool. What they ended up doing, and when I mean they, I mean Dad and my R1 friend, they got a big long flathead and literally hammered it into the oil filter, so then they could turn it, if that makes sense. So they wedged it into oil filter, and then they could turn it that way. I think. I don't know. I was holding the motorbike up, so I never really saw him do it. I heard him do it, but I was just holding it. After, you know, I got to be honest, you know, he was sort of like panicking. Well, not panicking, but he's like, oh, we've only got 2 hours to get there, and to be fair, I ride a slow bike, so I sort of screw him up there. But, you know, he knows I ride a slow bike. So we were like, oh, we're really pushing for time. Will we make it? Will we not make it? Because we had to travel to Portland, you see, which is like over an hour away, easy. Anyway, so we left. I mean, we left at a happy time. I think he said he would have liked to leave half an hour before, but we still had plenty of time. But at the time, I'm not sure if he was thinking this, but I was thinking, oh no, what happens if we get there at like 5:40 and they say the race starts at 5:30 to 8:30? Like, what happens if we're late? Can we not get in? You know what I mean? Anyway, after a very long journey up to Portland, which I had to use Google Maps because I've never been there, so I was always at the front, and I was trying to guide him, which I think we've done a good job. We got there. I think I did pull over once or twice. I'm terrible with GPSs and driving. But we got there. Long story short, you know, we got there. It was a cruise. His bike was performing good, and my bike was performing good. And we got there. And, then I started to panic because I wasn't wearing the right clothing and also, I was on like low fuel when I left the house because I never fueled up. So I didn't have much fuel, so we fueled up at some weird service station in the middle of nowhere, and that was good. It's a good lifesaver. I think it was Nelson. Not really much in the middle of nowhere. Nelson's quite big, I think. Anyway, back to we arrived. So we arrived, and we were like, oh, okay, so what do we do? And we just handed $50, and it was that easy. He said, here's your tickets, admit one, you guys can start drag racing. But the guy's like, well, we'll see if you can do it, because you don't have boots, and you don't have pants. So he's like, you might not, and I was like, oh, shit, maybe. It didn't really bother me, because I went there for him, and I wanted to film him racing, you know what I mean? Because he wanted to do it. He was the one who invited me. It didn't bother me if I did or didn't do it, but I would have had more fun if I did do it. Anyway, so we got told me, him. Now I got to remember the other bikes because I'd like to. A yellow dirt bike, which was a 450, a CBR 1000 RR, which got turned into a dirt bike. These both had street tires though. There's an I'm not gonna say arsehole. There was an arrogant guy driving a GSXR 1000. There was a black Fireblade 1000. I think that was it. That was our little group. There weren't many bikes, but they all ran 7. They were all thousands, So they were all with my R1 friend. So, which by the way, he bet someone, but I'll get to that later. I guess technically he bet 2 people. Anyway, after filling out some paperwork, they actually approved. The guy who inspected my bike approved, and he's like, "Oh, well, just you won't have any insurance, like if you come off your bike, because you're not wearing the right gear." He said, "No, you can race though." I said, oh my god, I can race? Awesome. You just let me race. But if I screwed up and done something wrong, I'd be all to blame, I had no track insurance. Doesn't matter. My goal was just to have fun and be safe. So we went to the office and got our badges and like wristbands and stuff. And then the day started. So I think my R1 friend went first, and he dragged race, I don't know, I presume a big boy like the GS. Actually, he'd done the GSXR 1000 first, and he was like a proper drag guy. He knew what he was doing, and he was like an arrogant race car driver, The reason why I say he's arrogant is he pushed him, several... Maybe I'll get to it. No, I'll just say it. Like, I had a drag race once, and I was coming back into 15km/h zone, and he screamed down it, going like 30 or 40, to overtake me, in a slow zone, just to pick up the ticket. He drag raced me to pick up my goddamn ticket. And then other times, like, he stole my goddamn racer as well. I went up to the Fireblade guy and I was like, look, can I race you? For fun? He's like, yeah, you can race me. And then the GSXR guy just comes in, cuts in line while I was at the very front getting ready to race. My R1 friend was already racing. I was getting ready. And then the marshal called us over. We were 3 wide. There was a GSXR, me in the middle, and Fireblade. But of course, since the GSXR is a big bike and he was on my left, the marshal paired up the GSXR and he paired up the Fireblade, and he didn't pair me up with him. So he technically, intentionally stole my racer, my opponent. And a few other things. He cut in line a few times, I felt like he was pretty arrogant, but, I don't know. Maybe he was he did shake my hand and said, a few nice words before he left. Maybe I'm just taking it the wrong way. Anyway, back to the story. So the first drag race, was really my best up until my last one. I done like 12.2 seconds. I don't exactly remember, but I know it was 12.2 at like, I don't know, 50 miles per hour maybe. And it was only by myself. I was just me. But I know I attempted to do a burnout, but I didn't know exactly how to do it. I had the clutch in, and I had my front right brake, my front brakes on, and my accelerator. Problem is, I never let go of the clutch, so I wasn't doing anything but revving. Anyway, so I failed my burnout, and I just shook my shoulders, and the guys are like, "Oh well, you know, it doesn't matter." And I'd done my first drag. I would have loved to hear what the commentator said. I would have loved to hear it. Just, he'd be like, you know, here's a bike number 7 coming up. He's a Honda GROM. And he'd be like, wait, what? He has a Jim's Racing paint job on it. You know, I would have loved to hear what the commentator said, but I couldn't hear him. I should also apologise to the R1 rider, because my exhaust pipes are so loud, he probably went deaf when we were riding up, and possibly back. But I also think riding back I scared the kangaroos away. But I'll get to that after. So the first race was great, actually. I done a really good run. My burnout was a fail, but it doesn't matter. The second one, we had a bit of a wait, but we eventually got to the start line again. I don't know who I raced. I don't know if I raced my R1 friend twice, or if I raced against someone else. So the second race I don't remember, but I know I lost, because I got a yellow slip here, and not a white slip. I went win, lose, lose, win, because I raced against myself, so how can I lose? So, I lost the second race, and I think it was my worst. I think I'd done like a 12.6. It was pretty bad. And again, I failed my burnout. So I went back to the drawing board, and while everyone was teaching my R1 friend just a few pointers, because he's on a 1000 bike, and you know, they want him to be safe but also get a really good time, which, by the way, he loved it. He said like the sense of speed was just like scary. From 0 to that 7, he got like 7 seconds, so that 0 to 7 seconds, so crazy. He loved it. He said he really felt the thrill of it, you know. And I have to admit, I felt the thrill of it. I went to this event going, yeah, you know, I'm just gonna have a little bit of fun, you know what I mean? Just some fun, nothing else. But as soon as I got on that raceway, I felt like, wow, this is awesome. I gotta give it all I got. And even though I was doing like 12 seconds, I had so much fun, and it felt like I was going fast. Like, oh, I really tried to go faster, you know, I was crouched down and everything, you know. So I do agree with my friend, it was really adrenaline and great fun. Really good fun. Then I went to my third race, and after listening to the thing, give him pointers, I asked, how do you do burnout properly? And because we were hanging out with like a pit crew full of motorbike riders. Oh, I should tell you, that I had saddlebags on my bike, and I had to take them off. So I just went up to a random bay, I guess, and they had a proper drag, so, you know, like a funny car. And they had a Ford Coupe one, you know, like an old 1930s sort of Ford Coupe. And I asked him politely, and the guy was super nice. He even got a wrench and undid my one nut and cut my cable ties. He was a top bloke. And he let me leave my saddlebags underneath his caravan. So whoever you were, thank you, mate. You really let me have some good fun, and I hope you win your races. You're a top bloke, whoever you are. And Sheila. And the Sheila was there too. Anyway. Something about race 3. I think I was up at race 3. Pit crew. Oh, right. We were hanging out with the bike pit crew. They had like 5-second bikes and 7-second bikes, and I presume 6-second bikes. No, that would have been too slow. No, I don't know, but they had all kinds of bikes. Also, the guy who was at this pit crew is literally the guy who rides the Yamaha MT-10 SP or whatever, just behind my house sort of thing. So shout out to that guy. Yeah, he's an awesome bloke. He is. Apparently he done the forks on my friend's R1. So, yeah, he's an awesome guy. Anyway, he told me how to do a burnout. I have to slowly let the clutch out. So on the third one, I was ready, and I know I was versing my R1 friend on the third one. So I was ready. And I was in the second lane. All the time, all the races, I was in the first lane, except for the third one. I was in the second lane, which is on the right. Anyway, I sort of wanted that because I saw there was lots of water, and I wasn't confident in my burnout, so I could use the water to help me spin. Anyway, after stumbling on the second time, and I focused on the marshal this time, the dude who tells you to do a burnout, and he told me, he sort of gave me like a whirly signal, which means spin your wheels. I said, okay, I'm going to do it. So I pulled my clutch in and pulled my brake and accelerated, and then slowly let my clutch out, and I'd done it. I'd done a burnout, and I was spinning and spinning and spinning, and he's like, yeah. And so I stopped. And I drag raced the R1. Oh, wait. Maybe the R1 was on the other side. Was he on the left side or the right side? I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter. Anyway, so obviously my friend won. And he got really happy too, because he got a good time, and that was when he told me how happy he was because it felt so fast and adrenaline and stuff. He was really happy with himself. And I was happy because I'd done a burnout and I got a better time. It wasn't amazing. My best was 12.2, I think. And I think on the third one I must have got like a 12.4, maybe a 12.3. I know it wasn't better than my first one. So I was like, bugger. Anyway, so, we came around, and on the fourth run, I asked him if he wanted to race against a big boy, my R1 friend, because he probably doesn't want to get stuck with me again having a GROM. So he said, yeah, but I think he must have been shy, or maybe he didn't want to ask. I'm not sure. So I went up to the two riders, the yellow 450 dirt bike and the 1000 RR. I guess you can say dirt bike, but it had street wheels. He uses it for hill climbs, apparently. Anyway, so I asked him, and Nick chose... Oh, shit. It's too late, I can't edit it out. Whatever. Our one friend chose... I'm sorry, buddy. It doesn't matter. No one watches these other than you and me and maybe, like, my Canadian friend. Anyway, so, he chose the big boy, the 1000 Honda CPR dirt bike thing. And it was fast, though. He done 7 seconds like all the others. And, yeah, he raced him. And, he bloody bet him. He actually bet him. I wish I was filming it. I was too busy yapping off to the guy I was planning to race that got stolen from me, but he bet him, so well done to you, mate. You're really happy with it, and you bet him, and you got a good time, and you done well. That was the last race. That was my R1 friend's last race. And then came me, and again, this is going back to when that guy stole my opponent. I wanted the race to Firestorm. It never happened. But it doesn't matter. I was ready. I was by myself in lane 1, because for some reason I got the pick. So I picked lane 1, because it looks like there was also a lot of water on it. And I said, do a burnout. So I'm doing another burnout. And I kept going until I produced smoke. And I looked back and I was like, oh, look, there's smoke. I was like, yeah. So I produced a little bit of smoke. And then I kept, I kept going. And it's so cool when you line up. There's actually like these magnets or sensors that if you drive on them, the lights go white. But if you slightly drive off them, the lights don't go white. So then you have to slightly reverse. It's so specific. Like you have to be, it's very cool. Apparently reaction time has nothing to do with racing as well, by the way. You can get a good reaction time, but it doesn't actually, timer doesn't tick over until you go past the magnets. So it doesn't make a difference. But I guess it would. Let's say I had a reaction time of 1 second, and the other guy had a reaction time of half a second. Technically, he would cross that line first, the magnetic line. But anyway, this guy said it doesn't really make a difference. They're two separate things. My friend's best reaction was 3.13, I think, which is amazing, because mine was only like 600, I think. But all his others were like 600 too, so yeah, he done really well on that 300 run. Anyway, so I done a burnout and I smoked my wheels up for the first time properly, and got ready, and I gave it a little bit of revs before I launched off this time. I think I revved it at like 3,000, and I gunned it, and I took off really fast. I think I shifted a little bit too early in the first gear, but it doesn't matter. I kept going. I was tucked in, and I got my best record. I got a 12 point. No, I'm going to say 71. I think it was 71 or 12 point something, like 74. But I bet it. I bet my old time, which was 12.2. I got 12. I was like, hell yeah! And I got 54 miles per hour. And it was so cool. My mate asked me if I would ever do it again. I don't know. I wouldn't do it by myself. Because it's just like riding, Yeah, I don't know. That's a bad example. But anyway, I wouldn't go back to the event if I was by myself. No way. But if my family but if my family, hint, dad, or or a friend ever said, you want to go drag racing, I'd definitely say yes. Just because it was a fun experience. I don't think I'd ever do it again, but, if there was an event on right in the next week and everyone was like, yeah, let's all do it, but no one told me, let's go, I wouldn't go. But if someone invited me, I had someone to just have fun with and drag race against, I would go. If that would all make sense. I think that makes sense. I'm tired. Yeah, and then we were debating of whether we should ride home or camp there, but we didn't have any gear, nothing, so we'd just be sleeping on grass. But I have work tomorrow. And I think he just wanted to go home or something. I think he felt more comfortable at home. So I thought, fair enough. And riding with two people is a lot more safer than riding with one. So I sat in the front with my high beams on, with my loud exhaust, hopefully scaring off all the animals. The closest call we had was this big fat dead kangaroo in the middle of the road. Luckily we both avoided it, but we didn't have any kangaroo scares other than that one. And then after that, we went to McDonald's, just had a bit of bite to eat because we haven't eaten anything since lunchtime. And we went our separate ways. He went back home, and I went back home. And I had a shower, and now I'm doing this. And it's extremely late. It's 11:50. Also, I got a message back from that French girl. Well, see, when I left Adelaide, I left Jerome and the French girl. Just a note saying, thank you for letting me spend time with you, or you made really good food, or, just a nice note. And she responded, and she wrote, thanks for, I forgot what she wrote now, but it was basically have a good life and thank you for the note. It was very nice. So she mustn't hate me, because it's the 7th, and I think I left on the 4th. But a couple of days later, she did respond, and she left me a note. So, she mustn't hate me. I don't know, I just felt like I left on an awkward time, because, I asked for a number, nothing else. But, it's just a number. But I just asked for a number, and she sort of was like, yeah, no. She said, thank you, but I don't really want to give you my number. You know what I mean. So then I left the next morning and I never said anything really else to her. So I felt like I maybe left on a bad note, you know what I mean? But Obviously, maybe not, because she sent me a message saying, thanks for spending time with me and it was good to get to know you and stuff. So maybe things weren't too awkward as I thought. But it doesn't matter. You never know. Maybe one day, maybe she would have said yes, or maybe another girl in the future might say yes. Not everyone says no. I just wanted to have a number just to, talk. Anyway, look, the point of the story is there's a girl out there for me one day. At least she was nice and she didn't ignore me. She acknowledged my message and she thanked me. So that was nice. She's a lovely girl. Anyway, I have had an amazing day. A very adventurous day with an amazing ending. Not being the Facebook message. That was nice of her, but the amazing ending is just the safe motorbike ride home and the drag racing and, I had a blast. Really, really good time. Yeah. I will upload footage later on. I gave my footage to my R1 mate because, like I said, the reason why I went was for him. So I've got footage, hopefully I've got footage of him racing that he can keep. And that is useful to him as well. I gave him my memory card. I'm not in a rush to get it back. I really don't care. So later on, when I get it back, it's not a big deal. I'll chop it down with my YouTube app or whatever and trim it and just upload the drag races. And then upload the full videos later on. They are 4K, so that'll take forever. But yeah, I have had an amazing night with lots of adventures and lots of unforgettable memories, and everything's been amazing today. I don't think me and my dad had a fight today, so that's good. We fight a lot. Anyway, I think I've given on enough now. Thank you, mate. I had a great day, and I hope you had a good day too. And can't wait to see what else February has planned for me. Bye.